Hey, how are you?
I'm good. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I'm
Okay,
having,
great. So we're here and life is good and we're on our podcast. How are you, Miss Yvette?
I'm good. I'm having a slight technical problem. Um, but let's see if I can. Um,
It's
it says we're recording without audio, which is
that's on your side.
um,
I can hear you. I'm
yo,
recording.
yo.
Okay, Miss Tech.
You know that I am the wrongest person to handle this
That's okay,
thing.
Miss Tech. That's okay. But we on and life is good and yeah. Hey. Oh, okay. Now what's this? You put in a this is a show? What's this? You
No,
see that's on the screen? You put that in?
no, 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 no. This I can hear you and you can hear me, but as far as
And I
this
can see.
thing is telling me, it's saying that it's recording without audio. So can I suggest that we go out and we come back in? You look gorgeous. Beautiful.
Okay, we got a guest coming on. I don't think so. I think this is what we're doing. It's recording.
It says it's recording, but is it recording with audio?
It's recording with audio. Don't worry. We got a guest. Did you let Angela in? We got two guests in. Okay, let the guest in now.
That they're supposed to come in automatically.
Okay, well they're here.
Okay.
I see
Hey, Memory, how are you? Lovely to see you. And I see
I'm
what
good, Auntie Yvette. How are you?
I'm good. Lovely to talk at last. I'm
Yeah, I'm in my PJs, so I'm not going to show my face.
okay, Lord. We love to see
Maybe,
you, Memory. We want to
maybe
see what you look
memory.
like, sister.
Yeah.
Well, just don't
Sorry,
show
I
the
didn't hear
pajamas.
that.
We want to see the face though. Just keep it from the top up. That's all.
Okay, I'll be
Hey,
brave.
hey,
Hey,
Memory, what's up?
memory.
How are you?
Lovely to see
Hey,
you, and your
there you
PJs
go.
are
Lovely to see
delightful.
you.
Hey, and
I was like, if I can find you, if I can see you on the internet today talking about ecologies and so on, I'm happy to do that in my PJs.
awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. And Angela, you here? I saw Angela come on, but I don't hear her. I guess she's clicking in. She's clicking in. Okay. Yvette, you want to start?
Hey, everybody. I'm Yvette Abrams, and I think that I am recording this video only and not audio. But while we have your attention, let's just do the best we can. The show must go on. So introducing myself, I'm Dr. Yvette Abrams. I'm an organic farmer and traditional healer, and I live in Cape Town, South Africa. And introducing my beautiful partner, that shy smile that you see over there, that's Poet on Watch, my very famous poet, multimedia artist, author of 4 books, producer of 5 films and 3 CDs. Hey, poet, nice to see you.
Hey, how y'all doing? We up and early as always before before the sun starts to come out and bake us all and we're in a dual ecology and that's what we're talking about today, right?
That's right. That's right. And also like to introduce Angela. And about Angela, I can say that she is a financier. She's in this lucky position that all of us want to be in. She works from home and she she manages to get that work-life balance that we all desire. And she knows more
Yes,
about accounting than you can possibly imagine. And I think I'm going to
yes,
mention about Angela. She's peace friend.
yes.
Dawn just texted me. She's going to be a few minutes late, so I'll wait till she comes to introduce her. But let's get started.
Let's get started. Waiting on you, Yvette.
Well, we're here to talk about food. Why food? Because food is going to be the most important issue on the planet if it isn't already. We're all human because we're
Yes,
human, we eat. The things that go into
yes,
producing food, land, water, sun, air, all those things, that's what makes us as human beings. So you couldn't imagine a more important topic. Angela,
yes.
do you want to click in because you're up for the first question?
Play the intro.
Okay. Can you hear anything?
Conversation rules the nation.
Okay, it's coming. You're doing better, Yvette. We're gonna get better every show.
Now my soul cried yesterday. Yeah. My soul cried yesterday. Conversation rules the nation. Now this is a freestyle, y'all. Conversation rules the nation. My soul cried yesterday. Yeah. So I'm waiting on Chris to get back. That's how you stall in the music business, you know. You do a little something, something, wait for a man to come back, right? Now, my soul cried yesterday. Cause my soul cried yesterday. My soul cried yesterday. Now, the title of the book is called Poet on Watch. Borders Books just picked it up nationally. We're picking up a distributor, right? So POW is national, y'all. CD's coming out soon, and y'all gonna be on the CD too. The Conscious Room is gonna be on the CD. Y'all on the last track, track 16. What is poetry, right? Track 16. This gonna be y'all, because without this venue, I don't know. I don't know if I could have did the things I was doing. So we've been rocking this thing for the past year and a half, right? And from your energy and my energy flowing together, the album's done, and this place still exists, and we're still living, right? And that's a beautiful thing. When community can heal each other, and if we can come out and listen to each other's stories and heal each other, that's what's so positive about that. That I can listen to you, you can listen to me. I might get pissed off sometimes to get up here and get rough up in here, because cats get rough, right? But I'm gonna let Legacy rock a little bit, because they got to expand their wings, you know, with the poets getting on. They haven't had a chance to really let loose. So yeah, y'all cool? And they're a little shy too. So I'm gonna let them rock a little bit, right? And I'm gonna sit my butt down. Now, conversation rules.
And thank you, everybody. Yvette is handling the tech today.
That's great, though. You're doing good.
So I love that song, and that is from Poet on Watch, which that CD came out in. Ooh, now I'm going to tell you, this is almost as long as P and I have known each other. The CD came out in 2005, and we met in 2006 at a matriarchy conference in Texas. But
Yeah.
as you can see, P's music still fresh. He's still that hip hop poet, speaking truth to power, bearing witness to truth. So I'm just wanting to see who are our guests here. Who is Samsung SM S926U?
We got guests coming in. We got guests coming in. So let them come in and you start the show.
Okay, hey. Hello, Samsung. Okay, we have no guests. P, explain to me why you're so passionate about food. Tell me, because people here, they
I'm
meet you
passionate
for the
about food
first
because
time.
without food, we're not living, right? And I think that what happened was when I had a stroke, right? And when I had the stroke, I had to really analyze what the stroke was from. Was it from me getting overexcited? Was it me working too much? Was it me, not eating correctly? What was it? Right. So as I put all those things together, I said, okay, the first thing to do is to, start working out and eating some food the right way. And so I always grew food. My father taught me how to grow food. And I used that land as a way to deal with my anger. Right. And so I some of us as well, it's changed nothing really. So let me go back to that. So when I started growing food in Newark, New Jersey, 4 years ago, It was because I saw people falling out, and it was because they weren't eating correctly. And so I found a piece of land down the street from us. I wasn't trying to charge anybody for the land. Nobody was trying to charge me for the land. And I started growing food. And folks was like, how are you growing food in the middle of a food desert? Which Newark, New Jersey is the #2 food desert in New Jersey, in the state of New Jersey. And I said, it's because we need food, and we need food to heal us. And so as I started growing food and people were coming in because the area was a little challenging, and people coming in, I said, well, you can't come in with that. You can't come in with the drinking. You can't come in with the drugs. You can't come in with none of that. You got to come in wanting some food and wanting to sit down and heal. And that happened. And so I ran this food garden for 2.5 years. And I said, well, we're going to go back to food because we're in a situation now in the United States where they're taking all the seeds out of the food. And they're saying, oh, you want seedless watermelon? Great. You want seedless this? Great. It's not that. They're just controlling the food. If they're controlling the food, then where does that put us? And I think that that's what made me want to really start this conversation about food and why food is necessary and why food joins us. I don't care what language you are. I don't care what color you are. I don't care what it is that you're doing. You're going to sit down and have some food. And when you sit down and have some food, that's when you start the peace. That's when you start the conversations. That's when we start to the communication and happening and what it is that we're doing together. It's around food always.
Thank you so much, P. Just so that you all get to know this incredible woman. We have our guests. They have arrived. They have that Black woman singing. They have crossed mountains, swum rivers, and climbed through 1,000 Black women things to get here. Welcome, welcome. Angela,
welcome.
Do you want to show yourself?
I'm going to try.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
Yeah, I figured it was going to reverse. I don't know why I can't get it to switch my surface.
It is the day of technical difficulties. Don't worry. It is that day.
Yeah.
It's that show where everything that can go wrong is going wrong.
Yeah, I'm going. You're seeing my gym in the background. I'm going to join on my phone real quick. Okay, so I'll be back.
Okay. Well,
in the meantime, hello.
Hey, Dawn, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing well. It's so lovely to kind of just join and listen in. Firstly, to a statement by Noni that's so, close to my heart. Because I was just thinking when she says people don't want watermelon seeds in their watermelon. I opened a papaya the other day and there were no seeds, and I was like, where are my seeds? I was like, where are my seeds? Because I read that the seeds are beneficial as well.
Seedless pawpaw.
Exactly, seedless pawpaw. I think they were like 1 or 2, like very tiny. It was like little white seeds, and I was like, no, this is not the food that I remember buying and eating from years ago. So kind of just joining and listening to that was like, those are the conversations we need to be having. But an introduction of me, I'm NOEMDOE. I am a very proud beekeeper, a very new beekeeper in the industry. I have been, I think, very close to nature and the concept of growing food since I was a young girl, with my parents who kind of really shared those values with me. And now in my own grown-up life, I'm also growing my own organic home garden and hoping to expand in the agricultural space as an agripreneur, entrepreneur, in the beekeeping sector at the moment. So yeah, that's just a brief introduction. I can share more about my work in the sector as well, but that's me, a little bit about me.
That's not all you do, Dawn. You are fantastic. She is a journalist and podcaster on the show Food for Mzansi, with which Dawn has for years been encouraging agriculture amongst the youth in South Africa. Now, I want to tell you that Dawn first started out Now, I know Dawn, since she was a picky of a mentee, she used to come every Saturday and make soap in my workshop. But when she grew up and became a woman, agriculture was still very unpopular amongst the Black youth. We all wanted desk jobs and work in government. And so Dawn started this show, Food for Mzansi, Facebook page, everything, probably has a much bigger social media presence that she'll tell you about later. But basically its job was to convince young people that being a farmer was a worthy effort. So that's why
Yeah.
it'd be perfect for this show. And meet on
Yeah.
TV. You've never met in person, but next time P comes, you must come around.
No,
Yes.
definitely. So the concept, just to share briefly, was initially I was the founding editor. So one of the first people that Food for Mzansi employed, and this was about almost 6 years ago. So the concept was initially to kind of try and tell people where their food comes from. Because kids were out there planting plastic containers into the earth as if that's how you do it, not knowing and understanding you take that off. You know, food doesn't grow in supermarkets. So the notion was to say, tell people where their food comes from, understand that the agriculture is not just one-sided. Because when people talk about agriculture and farming, they think it's a white, middle-aged man, which is wrong. We have been growing food for the longest time. Our people have been working the land for the longest time. And so that's the narrative that we were trying to change within the industry. Because historically, people that look like me were working the land, but they never got the recognition. So it was always someone at the back of the bakkie, you know, doing all the hard work that didn't get the recognition. And for me, that was something that I also didn't know. I grew up in the Cape Flats, you know. I didn't even understand that agriculture was something that I could be part of up until I was exposed to it, yes, through my parents, yes, through my family, but owning a farm was not sexy. Doing that hard work was not attractive. Now on social media, if you go onto Instagram, everyone's posing there, you know, with their Johnson's workwear, with their khaki shorts, and it's become more attractive, but it had to take a lot of time to do that. So initially we wanted to say, okay, where does your food come from? Celebrate Black farmers, celebrate Black agriculturalists, talk about the people that are working the land that deserve the credit. And that's where it started. And then, surprisingly enough, we found that there were these Black agricultural farmers that started adopting us. And because of the gap in terms of the knowledge that is needed to commercialize in the sector, to transform your business from a smallholder production to, you know, moving up and scaling up, there's a huge knowledge gap that was required. There was people that needed information, the basics of running business. How do you do your finances? What happens when you do soil testing? How do you test your water on your farm? How do you get a borehole? All of the basics, you know, that's needed to kind of get to sprinting speed to where the historically more advantaged, you know, people were in the agricultural space. We kind of started to fill that gap. So I host a podcast that's specifically catered for new and upcoming farmers, and it's anything from how to grow dragon fruit, how to last week, I did a discussion on the value chain, how to use AI and other blockchain technology to do traceability when it comes to food products. So there's a lot of content that we share on this podcast, which has been recognized globally as well.
Yes.
So yeah, I enjoy it. There's so much to be shared on it. I don't want to take over the conversation.
We love your youthful passion. No, I'm very proud to have once been your mentor. And I hope all my ladies have that passion. Thank you so much, Dawn. P, do you want to ask Angela a question? I see she's back.
Yes. Angela, tell us a little bit about what you do.
Hey guys, I'm Angela Cooper from Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia area.
Yeah.
I have been working and studying data for 30-something years. I am a business intelligence engineer. So
Yeah.
I could take all of your seed information and transform into something powerful. But I also as a person from the land, grew up on the land, raised my kids from the land. I think my oldest is now 40, didn't know what a microwave meal was until she went to college, because we didn't grow up that way in the South here. So I grew up with a parent. I was telling Angie, my granddaddy was born in 1890. Of course, his family knows about the land. He instilled it in us. He used to give me a hoe every year as I grew. He would change it out so I could be able to help him around the garden, and taught me without me even knowing how to plant, how to study agriculture, and he had no education, but he instills something about the soil and the land. So as I've been talking to Ange again and Yvette, it's been inspiring, especially when I came to visit, to see how many plants in your garden, in your on your land, Yvette, that I knew about. It shocked me that because of this man who family was from Africa, um, and how he brought all of that information to Florida. And so my house was pretty much in the middle of an orange grove, and it was all about oranges and grapefruits and strawberries and peanuts. Every summer I went to what we considered the country. That's funny. But we went to Ocala. They dropped us off and was like, "Oh, here are your 4 hand workers," and we literally picked okra, peanuts, peas, greens. So as I'm getting older, it's inspiring that I want to get back to being
To the
that
land.
person to the land. So that's why I'm here, and just happy to be a part of this.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome, welcome, Angela and Dawn. So before you came, we got started talking about the relationship between food and high blood pressure. And P was telling the story of how she actually cured herself from her high blood pressure through completely natural means, P had a reaction to the side effects of the medications she was taking, and she said, "Stuff all this, let me do it naturally." So I don't know, Angela, if you want to comment a little bit, because I know besides your incredible garden, you're also an incredible cook. How does food and health relate to each other?
I think
Yeah,
that food, me or Angela?
Oh, right. Sorry.
Go ahead, Ange, go.
Sorry.
I'm POW, go. Go, Ange.
No, you go.
No, go.
Oh, okay. No,
Yes.
I'm just you're right. I think honestly, when you grow and you cook from farm to the table, it's like all of the nutrients. We have to learn, I think, Blacks and especially American Blacks, how not to put all the nutrients out the food. And I think sometimes that's what they always say, "Oh, I love that Southern cooking." Well, that's because you've pretty much taken all the nutrients out and you
Right.
just like overcooked it. But I think honestly, food is super important to our health, and to our mental state. Um, it's just cooking it right. I love to cook. I can spend all day in the kitchen cooking because I enjoy it. It's something therapeutic. And at the end of the day, I know it's something that's going to be healthy. And when I eat food that's from the ground compared to a food that may have been processed, my body even reacts differently. Like my night is never going to be as good as if I would have just made a pot of peas. Versus maybe buying a can of peas or something. So I
Right.
think it's super important.
I think so too. I think that what happens with us, particularly in the United States, is that as they're starting to take all the seeds out of the food, as they're starting to tell us that, oh, you're not going to really have any land anymore. We're about to have this presidency that's about to happen between 2 elderly presidents that in almost over 80 something years old,
Okay.
and they're bringing
I
their
didn't
stuff
want to
back.
mention that. I didn't want to mention that because I'm trying to be
Oh, we're not.
polite with you all Americans. But let me just get this straight while you're there, and we're going to get back to food. But so You all have a presidential candidate that's a convicted felon, but he can stand
Yes.
for president. But you all are the black people that are in jail. You all can't go out and vote for him or against him. Just do I have
No.
that straight? Because a lot of us South
Yeah,
Africans
that's
are
correct.
very
Yeah, that's
confused
correct.
about your political system.
Well, the political system here is a very interesting political system, particularly if you're uh underserved and you're homeless. Homeless, in jail, underserved, don't have any money, you can't vote, right?
But you
And
can be
in that
convicted by
process of
court and
not
you can
voting,
stand for president. So obviously
Right.
the mistake
but
you
you can
all are
stand for president.
making is you should be standing for president. You all shouldn't be trying to vote. You all should be going out there and wanting, I mean, just break this down, please. Because I know a lot of people.
Okay, well, the breakdown
And I
is all
promise, I
around
swear
food,
we'll get
right?
back to food. I swear.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean, but
well,
really, the breakdown is all around food. I mean, because both of these presidents are really not healthy because of food.
I
They're really
think
not healthy mentally because of food. They're really not healthy because they came from a situation with inside their communities where they came to this situation and they said, "Oh, we're gonna get food," but they're not getting food, right? They're not eating well. They're not living well, even though they might have people serving them. It's not well. So I look at that and I say back to myself, in order for us to get calm and get sane, we have to start eating well. Food. And I go back to food all the time. I can go back to politics. I can go back to what's going on in a city like Newark, New Jersey. Their whole political system is going under, right? And as it goes under, the mayor that's been mayor for at least 5, 6 years now can't be mayor anymore. And he wants to go to governor. But to go to governor, you have to have some mayorship, right? Somewhere in between that too. And I look at that and I say to myself, how do we get back to food? How do we get back to the table? How do we get back? And particularly Newark, New Jersey is a food desert. So let me explain to you what a food desert is. You can go out, you can get some fried chicken. You can go out and get some pizza. You can go out and get some, junk food in the store. You can go out to the little convenience stores and get some. But is there a supermarket that can serve you some food? Now, Whole Foods is here, but Whole Foods is doing the same thing. They're chopping everything up and put it in containers like this. Plastic containers. Then once you get the plastic container, then where's the container going?
Exactly.
You're throwing it back into the land, right? Then the container doesn't get resoiled, right? So what we've been teaching people is that you get a container like this, grow food in it. You can keep it forever. Grow food in it. Don't throw it back out into the land. Don't throw it back out into the garden. Don't throw it back out into the street. Put soil in it and grow food if this is what you're growing in. And I don't want to grow my food in plastic. Right? So we look at that, but we say to ourselves, what are we doing with all of this? In a city like this, that's #1 food desert in the United States. How do we take care of our food? How do we get back to food? How do we heal our bodies through food? So you're over 40 years old, you're over 50 years old, you're over 60 years old, you're over here taking 17, 18, 29 pills for your high blood pressure. Because you're not eating correctly.
That's
right.
Thank you.
Then you take the pills. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Then you take the pills and you go back.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
So,
Keeping centered. I'm sure Angela also wanted to just comment on the before I go back to Dawn. Angela, did you want to get
I
us
did.
on the politics of it?
I did want to talk about it. I think it's a shame that America can make their own rules as they go, and they always have, which makes them very unique out of all the places in the world.
Unfortunately not.
They just make them up as they go. But right now what's going on is to the point that the debate was so bad that the Democratic committee is now trying to push him out of office. And it's sad because the blacks voted him in office initially because they felt like he was just setting up Carmelita to the VP to be the next candidate. And then he decided, because what happens with our presidents are they are so wanting power that regular people don't get it. But these people are obsessed with power. Trump is in office because of the money. He comes from wealth, and Biden comes from wealth. You can't sit in office for 40 years or 50 years and not have wealth. So they always talk about, oh, they're going to this summer home or this summer home or that. Nobody has that but them. So when you have this wealth and power, obviously you just don't feel like you could give it up. And it's a shame because you're not about the people. He cannot relate to Blacks at all. He's
Very
been in
level.
power. Nobody, him or Trump, because of Trump wealth, he don't care about the minorities. So I don't want to say Blacks, but he just don't care about minorities. And even though Biden pretends just wants to continue on with power, obviously at your 80 years old, you know you should be passing the baton, and he refuses. It's sad to see it,
We
but
have
yeah,
the same problem in Africa, Angela. We have the same problem where, okay, what's very typical here is having so much to hide as a leader that then you can't get out of leadership because then it's all going to come out. So people have clung. I want to say in the past, I want to hope that we've made our mistakes and gotten better about that. But
yeah.
thank you very much. Dawn, organic food. Oh, tell me why, as a beekeeper, I think especially why organic food is important, apart from our health, just as
Yeah, I think maybe
environmentalists.
just to make mention of the connection between, food and our health. We are what we eat. That's just in essence what it comes down to. I think even talking about our health and our health journey needs to be understood as it is a journey. It can change at any point. You can make that decision to change how you live your life at any point. It doesn't have to be the same as yesterday. I mean, this morning I happily picked spinach out of my garden and ate it for breakfast, which for me is a treasure. If firstly I have the space to do it, which many people don't, but I think here in our context, people make the most of what they had. I remember during COVID, there was this whole craze about people starting little home gardens and people putting out stories, publishing stories around it. We were in lockdown, now we have more time to do these things. But how do you grow a garden when you live in a shack, you know? How do you, and so people are more creative with these things as time moves on. Urban gardeners, urban farmers using rooftops, all these different technological advancements that assist us to think differently about how we grow our food and where we grow our food. I think what the other speaker was mentioning about the container of the blueberries and that it comes in plastic. Why aren't we buying unwashed potatoes? Why do we insist on having the food look a certain way as end consumers? If you find a little, I was having a conversation with on one of my lives with the farmer saying that there was a complaint that there was a little bug in some crop, something that someone bought in the store. I'm like, do you think this food grows in a factory? It comes from the soil. That means that it grew somewhere. So the whole concept of understanding that, our indigenous practices is an important part. I learned so much from you, Yvette, in all that I do now. When I make my hair oils, that I incorporate as part of my business, as part of the agro processing, using the propolis, the honey, all the byproducts.
Yes.
It's things that I learned from you. And that's what we need to go back to. These things exist. This knowledge and knowledge sharing should be more accessible. That's the important part. Why did my grandmother eat a certain way? Why was her diet different? Understanding what they chose to eat. There's a lot of vegetables that we don't really consider anymore. Amaranth, why aren't we growing more of that? Moringa. There's this huge craze around these things. Understanding that before it becomes popular and it gets into the discounts and the high-end food stores, these things can be grown.
Keeps
Processed
people
food.
alive. Yes, thank you.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
I do want to pay tribute to my grandmother. I spent my first 2.5 years with my grandparents on the farm in the Newark area in Namibia, and I have to say it shaped my entire life. Zoom is going to throw us out in a few minutes because P and I insistently trying this super democratic experiment with free Zoom and very low tech. We must have both of you back to talk more in depth. But 1 minute, Angela, what can we do about these different forms of power, the power in the soil, the power in our hands as we grow and cook the food, and the people out there that think of power as power over?
And the power in government.
That's what I'm trying to say. Yes.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, I think education, if we don't, like saying on this, that if we don't educate the younger generation and the young people, we won't be able to contain good fresh food, because they won't even be used to growing up with McDonald's. They don't know when you talk about, and Inge mentioned about the deserts. If we don't educate, we're gonna lose a generation of people. So it's got to be education, as
Absolutely.
well as educating them on politics and how it affects us as well. So that's it.
Exactly. Thank you, Angie.
I mean, the politics is really important. I'm going to say this real quick because I can get into these politics real quick. But the point is the politics are important. Living in Newark, New Jersey versus, you know, where you are, Ange, is a little different because we're definitely in the middle of the city. We're 15 minutes outside of New York City and we have no food. And they're making sure that we don't have any food. So to be able to be in a situation like this and looking at people every day on the ground dead, I mean, I don't know if they're dead or what they're taking. There's some type of drug that they're taking. And I was walking out yesterday and I saw 10 people laying out on the ground when I'm walking past them. I said, what is this? Then I go to a city government meeting and they said, oh, it's smack or something called smack or something. I was like, what is it? Smack. I said, smack. I said, okay. So nobody in Newark, New Jersey is eating any food? Where's the food? So I go back to food because I could talk about drugs. I could talk about government. I could talk about all of that. But the bottom line, at the end of the day, when we go home, we got to drink some water. We have no clean water. We got to eat some food. We have no food with seeds in it. And we need some land. And we're living in a city with no land. Meanwhile, as they're moving people from outside the country here, from Africa, here, they're thinking that they're coming to the United States to get something. And then they're standing in line like, oh my God, we have nothing. Right, you have nothing here. So what are you looking for? I would suggest that you go back home because at least you got land. But you don't think so, even though you live in a shack. You have land around you. Plant some food. Go back there, talk to your people about food. United States is not here for you. That's where I'm at. And I think some people want to ask some questions. Oh, we got some more people coming in. Hey, y'all, you know, this is where we got to get longer podcasts. And,
yes.
Yeah. And with longer podcasts, that means that we have to get, you know, at least $5 on a podcast.
There we go. Yes.
Like
yes, please.
This is that Western.
Patreon.com. Yes. Memory, I see you and love to you. Thank you so much for coming. Dawn, 1 minute. Environmental justice, power. You got it.
I agree with all that was said. I think that we need to change the way we think about where our food comes from. And what we do with the resources that we have available. Accessing the land is not so easy, but it's possible. I thought that choosing, you know, apiculture and beekeeping would be a path of least resistance when it came to entering the sector. I had the same struggles. I think in this country, there's a lot of gatekeepers, and to be able to transform in the way that actually works for women like myself and others, we're hungry, we want it. I'm dedicated to succeeding in the sector so that I can pave a way for other women just like me. Yes. Because if it wasn't for people like Yvette, people that I can look up to say, okay, she did it, I can do it. Whoever comes next needs to understand that it's possible. So we push, we move, we grow continuously. Absolutely. So I'm inspired by all of you. I think there's a lot of work to be done, but it's possible. I think that as much as we talk about how government is failing us, I got funding this year. 2 funding applications that I put in. Thank you, Auntie. Thank you so much.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much.
And I'm applying for 3.
Let's go. If you don't fill in those funding applications, then they can't give you money. Wonderful. And Dawn, I do want to thank you too, Angela, so much. I do want to sum up on every now and then when I'm down, I tell myself, Yvette, you have got to prosper, because prosperity is the one thing that's going to make young people look at you and want to be a farmer. So, you know, P and I, we do our best to focus on doing well. P, you wanna take us home before I play the outro?
Yes, I'm gonna take you home. I think that what happens is this, y'all. We need food. And we need food in our lives. We need food in our relationships. We need food with our children. We need food to birth things, and that things naturally, things through our bodies and through the land. And I think that with that